can read that to us. Your head is in the shop. This is hard now. No, it's not because of your own. Some fear now. It's some fear now. You know about this now. Some people some fear. What kind of attitude is this?
A warm welcome to you, our esteemed viewers. You're welcome to Election Watch Edo Decides. My name is Judith Thorenwa, and we're still bringing you updates from Edo State as the total election results are still being awaited now. 18 local government areas, the result in these local governments have been announced by the electoral umpire, and according to our correspondent in Benin City, the Collation Center, he said they're asking for 20 minutes before the total number of votes cast will be announced and the winner of the election declared. We still have in the studio with us Barrister Joe Nwokedi and Barrister Elvis Asia. All right, Barrister Nwokedi, it is about how many hours after the election, the casting of votes ended yesterday in Benin City and Edo State in general. We are still awaiting results. Do you think it is impossible for us to have election results few hours after voting ends? Do you think it's an impossible feat?
It is not. If the stakeholders are committed to that, it's just a big embarrassment that the whole voting exercise that took less than 5 hours to complete. I mean, both accreditation, both voting, both casting of the ballots, both identification of political parties in the ballot papers, filling of final everything that has to do with election, both being on the queue, both, I mean, observing your turn in the line and everything, every activity that has to do with voting, they were all completed within 5 hours. But then counting of votes, and even within the polling units, the polling booths there, the INEC officers, the polling unit officers also concluded the whole thing within the same 5 hours, and then pasted the result of the election, authenticated by the party agents, and then pasted at the polling units. And same was replicated in all the polling units in Edo State, meaning that within next 1 hour before, let's say plus minus by 6 p.m. yesterday, every exercise has been completed. But look at where we are today, almost 3 o'clock, almost 24 hours. We are still yet to get the result of the election announced. The big question now is, what are they doing with all this election? What are they doing? Is it that they are, I don't know. Is it that they are doing, there's another examination there, they are writing involving statistics, involving numbers that have already been made available to you at the collection, at the polling units. And with that, within the local governments, every polling unit is answerable to a local government. In the next 2 hours, the whole local governments are like in receipt of all the results of the elections within the units. And then they'll transmit to the collection centers. Is there anything they are doing there? I mean, it's not as if this transmission is done via somebody who trek from place to place. We have vehicles that transport all these election materials. We have electronic means of transmission. People also have their snapped all these, even the official that actually conducted the election at the polling units can also transmit through his phone, can also snap what was pasted, signed by polling agents, and then transmit to local government or to the states. Why is this so rigorous? What are they doing? What game are they playing? We have to become very, very curious and very, very suspicious. Because at this period now, they say delay might be dangerous. I have seen situations where delays were very, very dangerous. Because within the period of delay, so many things might come in. So many pressures can come in. The nature of the type of phone call that came in during Osun State might come in. The level of cancellation that took place in Kano State might come in. So many power play might come in. And considering the Nigerian factor, it is very, very dangerous. Because we know that there are politicians in Nigeria that are very, very unrepentant. They don't want to lose. Whether they have been rejected by the people or not, they don't want to leave the scene. They want to become perpetually in kind of a political party or government that must be ruling. They don't perform outside a ruling government, either in the states, at the federal level. And they can do whatever, they can do anything without minding how the people will feel, without minding what might be the consequences or the resultant effect of their action to the poor masses. Because the problem we have in Nigeria, we hardly consider the poor masses. And sadly, they're in the majority. And if you look at the life they live, very, very wretched, very, very pauperized, very, very helpless. You can see that some of them might not afford certain things that some people take as minimum luxury. They won't even afford them throughout their lives. And we don't even consider them. So what I'm saying is that INEC should look into this and work on it. Nigerians are not happy. I've shown my learned colleague here what's going on in social media. People are beginning to complain. People are beginning to get worried. 15 hours after elections, 18 hours after elections, 20 hours after elections have been concluded. You are keeping people waiting. You are keeping people under anxiety. Under serious anxiety. Why people don't know anything about elections? Most people have not contested the election. Me, I have contested. Within this period of voting and announcement of results, you may die. It's better they say that you lose, so that you know that you have lost. Start building up your mind. And start making up your mind, okay, it's all over. Than keeping you in the wait without knowing what is going on. We are in the electronic era in Nigeria. Thank God my learned colleague also said something good about that. Let there be a revolution.
All right.
And my annoyance is that it's not as if INEC is an isolated organization in Nigeria. We have the banks there to borrow from. We have other commercial institutions to borrow from. And I can do all these things in seconds. We have even our universities to borrow from. I can do all everything within in seconds. Why is it that whenever it comes to issue of election, in this particular election, INEC, this agency called INEC, will always do something in a way that it must be very, very suspicious. Even at the end of the day, by the time they will do the right thing, they will have made it that people will always have a kind of negative view about their activities.
Very well, Barrister Nwoke.
It's quite sad.
Barrister, let's have your take. It's about 24 hours since the conclusion of voting in Edo State. It ended at 2 p.m. yesterday, and we are still waiting for the overall result. Don't you think these long waits sort of cast aspersion, on the people's perception of the electoral umpire and the whole process itself?
It does, and it's part of it's even responsible in a way to voters' apathy and the lack of interest in the electoral process. Because people are worried that during these long waits, things happen. We have seen it in so many places. At some point today, we saw, I got information when I was on the way to Lagos, that they were looking for the collation officer from one of the local governments who disappeared mysteriously. Things like this, raises doubts on the process. And it's important that we take the issue of electronic voting and transmission of results very seriously to be able to solve this problem. Because, the perception of people is important. People are worried that their votes don't count because from the end of voting till when results are declared, people are worried that most times they change the results. And this is not just a mere imagination, because this has happened in so many places. So it's important that we seriously address the issue of the deployment, the automation of the electoral process in this country, so that we can put this behind us. It is shocking that in the 21st century we still have to have this long wait before we can receive results, when these things can actually come out in real time. It's a credibility issue, and INEC needs to address this aspect of the electoral process. And in every election, you see this. Osun, we have talked about Osun, for example, where we said there was a phone call, the miraculous phone call, and it was during this process. In Orion, for example, they were trying to create that situation because politicians, they never want to lose. They never give up, because the drive, the thing that pushes a lot of politicians is not really the welfare or the people. It's just about themselves. So they keep looking for a way to maneuver the system, to manipulate the system. We saw that there were cancellation of a few, about 2 or so wards or so, a few polling units in Orion local government. They were trying to work on that and see whether they can create an inconclusive situation. Politicians can do that. And so this long wait affords them the opportunity. If the thing is transparent, is real time, you won't have the time to engage in such practices. So we need to embrace electronic voting. When card readers were introduced, I was excited. I thought that one of the things they were going to achieve with card readers would be, okay, once you put your hand there, it's unique to you, and you can compare it to what somebody did manually. So you can detect overvoting, you can detect, but in most cases the card readers may not even work. Before this election, we heard of a situation where a store where card readers were stored was gutted by fire.
In Ondo State.
Things like this cast doubt on the electoral process, and it's hope that we will learn and fix it through using automation.
All right, thank you very much, Barrister Elvis Asia. Let's now move over to the INEC Collation Center in Edo State to get live feeds there.
Of NFDB and 258 votes. 258 votes. Stephen M. Ozoro of MRN had 573 votes. 573 votes. Godwin N. Abasodi of the PPP had 307,955. 307 955. Felix Obayabo of LPP had 323 votes. Ozoro votes of YPP had 132 votes. Anyanlobe and Nyanlobe of ZLP had 117. That Godwin L. Abasodi of PPP, having certified the requirement of the law in meeting the 25% in total of the government area in the state, and having a margin of lead higher than the council vote, thereby declare a winner and return elected. Just give us 1 minute so that we can just round up.
Oh, hello.
Party agents, observers, the media, ladies and gentlemen. I want to use this opportunity to thank each and every one of you who have made this election a success. The Commission truly appreciates you. I want to particularly thank and all the ISEC members, media, the certificate of return will be given within 7 days according to the law. Thank you very much and enjoy a lovely Sunday. Thank you.
All right, we have the results there. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Governor Obaseki, has been declared winner of that particular election. All right, Barrister Nwokedi.
Thank God for him. Say good news. Good news for democracy. Good news to all of us. Good news to Nigerians. And good news to free and fair election. I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very excited. In fact, I'm going to give myself a good treat today because of this. Yes, because, oh yes, that's what I've been clamoring for. And myself, even they know me as democracy and rule of law lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
So we have been actually for this democracy and for rule of law. I've written books on it. I've gone on the streets. I've talked to people. And I'm so glad that it's beginning to, yield fruit. The time Nigerians will come and speak and their voices will count. And they will decide who governs them. They will decide who sits at that apex seat that will control their resources, their commonwealth. And then also that they will also determine how long that person will stay. Well, that's the sense of democracy. Democracy is such a way that I told someone, look, when we always clamor for democracy as against other systems of government, the democracy has a time frame within which you can stay there. It's either we renew your mandate or a fusion of time will get you out. So if after you manipulate and then you're there again, but in the next 4 years, you are hopeful that after 4 years you will leave. So Edo people have actually made us proud. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. Any place I will see Edo man today, he's sure getting a brand of his drink from me.
I'm from Edo State.
A brand of his drink from me because they came out en masse, they voted, they defied the rain. I had it rained heavily.
Rained heavily, yes.
And all the stakeholders, participated, even to the center of the river above Benin. That I read in my literature about Overamin Aboisa and the rest of them. I have serious respect for that. That's true.
He played a
very, very critical. And we will have to also appreciate the opposition. The person that ran against incumbent governor, Izzy Yam. I have to say it again. The picture that was painted about him, that made it in the public domain, of being a kind of background he had, we didn't see that playing out. There was no loss of life. We didn't see a handful of people shooting and killing, although we might have isolated cases. But then it's not like rampant. So we have to commend. We have to commend even though Shomole, the political godfather, was former APC chairman. He played to the rules. He campaigned vigorously, went all over the whole place, but also not deployed people that would have made life very, very dangerous. And then the incumbent governor also that had all the powers at his disposal to also cause havoc. Because the most important thing in this life is life.
Yeah.
You don't allow people, don't take away the life of people. The life of the poor people, because most of all these gladiators, unfortunately, they don't have their keys. You can never see their kids coming out to them with them to vote. Have actually participated in so many elections, they hardly come out with their own children. You can never see them coming out to the election ground with their children. They send them far away, and they make use of the children of ordinary people. That they can give peanuts to come and kill themselves. So in all, we appreciate what has happened. I also send my own congratulatory message to the governor-elect, Obaseki, and it's a call to duty. It's a call to do more. Right now, people have actually renewed their mandate, and they renewed it in a special way, unlike the one that brought you in. This one now is like from their hearts. They've renewed this mandate. If you know that thing they expected of you, please don't just do them, but then, surprise them. Go beyond and make Edo State what it ought to be. Put smiles in the faces of the people, develop their infrastructures, develop their intellectual abilities, develop their human capacity building. Let Edo people justify what they have done today by what they will see in next 4 years. I'm very, very grateful.
All right, Barrister Elvis, you participated actively in that election. Well, how do you feel?
I'm really excited. I'm a proud Edo person today.
So I'm sitting by 2 Edo people. Okay, people should be giving me drinks. I'm not giving a gift.
From what I saw yesterday, this is a confirmation of what I already knew. That the people came out, to support the incumbent governor. And, there are so many factors that was responsible for this. But, I think the most important thing is that people are beginning to see that, a development-oriented kind of leadership is what we need. Since Obaseki came into office, we don't have any perfect system or perfect governor or perfect anything. But you can see that he's development inclined. You can see that he wants a Edo State that, people can be proud of. And, Edo people, I've seen that. In the past, what governors would do is to appeal to people through populist programs and actions.
All right, let me quickly hold you there, Barrister Elvis. Let's speak with our correspondent, Kunle Ojo, who is live at the INEC Collation Center. Hello, Kunle Ojo, if you can hear me. Can you bring us up to speed with what is going on right now where you are?
As you can see, the battle has been fought and it has been won. Governor Obaseki has been declared as the winner of the election conducted on Saturday 19th, 2020 in Edo State. He has been returned as the next governor of Edo State. As I said earlier, we have the party agents of various political parties that take their signature to the result that have been declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Also, I have from an unconfirmed report that there are APC candidates in yesterday's election in the person of Young Pass, sent a congratulatory message to Governor Obaseki. After being declared as the governor of the state in the election yesterday, the media is now who are going about their normal activities. The members of the Democratic Party are here, they've been celebrating why their counterparts from other political parties are congratulating them on the well-deserved victory.
They are actually congratulating the agents of the People's Democratic Party. side where you are. Okay. We need to verify the security situation of that place. All right, we have to our correspondents go outside the collation center while we'll continue in the studio right here. Barrister Elvis, you've heard from him, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, according to unconfirmed reports, sent a congratulatory message to Governor Godwin Obaseki. I wouldn't want to take you up on that, but the fact that he said that the agent of the APC in the collation center there, he has appended his signature to the result and also congratulated that of the People's Democratic Party. What does that signify? I
wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if the electoral process is free and fair, I mean, once you know you have lost, and you lose honorably and decently, you will have no choice but to congratulate the other person. The issue of failure to congratulate always happens when you know for a fact that there were manipulations in the process. This is an election that we have seen a situation where INEC has refused to give in to politicians as we used to suspect them to do. We have seen cases where the security agencies, the police, the army, they've all teamed up to ensure that there was a free and fair atmosphere for elections to be conducted. So I mean, I don't see any reason why those who have lost in this process will complain, because the process appears to have been very transparent, and the people have spoken quite loudly, and this is a confirmation of the fact that the incumbent governor, based on the perception of the people, that is doing well. And we only hope and pray that he continues to do that, because this should give him the impetus. This is a big boost for him. I mean, it's one thing to be trying to work for the people. It's another thing for them to appreciate it. With the way the political system is in this country, it's always difficult for the people to appreciate you as, appreciate those who are actually working for them. And this results, is a big appreciation from the people of Edo State. And I know, knowing the governor, I have no doubt that this is going to push him even further in ensuring the development of the state.
All right, according to official results, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, that is Governor Godwin Obaseki, polled 307,955,000 votes, and the candidate of the All Progressives Congress polled 223,619 votes. We see the margin there. And I'm on Twitter, I'm on social media, and many people are asking the question, is Obaseki really that popular? When did he start building his political structure? What really do you think happened in Edo State, Barrister Nwokedi? Okay.
For me, I believe that, no, I cannot say when he started building his political career. He actually, from the history, what I know about him, before Oshiomhole actually brought him in, he was head of economic team, right? I don't know. Yeah. He was part of the economic team, and he actually played a very, very productive role in that capacity by bringing up so many initiatives in the state and then helping the governor, Oshiomhole, accomplish and achieve laudable kind of interventions in some crucial areas of the economy. There was a building that was built. Oshiomhole said that without him, that building couldn't have been been erected. And other, he was a man that when he came in, I think he was also part of people that actually helped Oshiomhole in terms either his second tenure, in terms of first tenure campaign funds and other things. So he's a prominent son of Edo State, and he's into capital investments and things like that. I think I know one day I was watching television about all these capital markets, whatever, and somebody said, this company is owned by Godwin Afro-Invest, owned by Godwin Obaseki, the governor of Edo State. So, before being a governor, now he's a governor. So he said, before being a governor, I said, a prominent company like this. So he said, yeah, I said, that man has a strong background. For him to have such a reputable firm running, I mean, managing it and then bringing it up to that height in the society, it's not something that you can just wake up one day and achieve. So nobody can say he doesn't have a background, because mostly in Nigeria, what we regard as background is someone that we are in the politics. I've been there, a councillor, from councillor to local government chairman, chairman to House of Assembly to House of Rep to Senate, and I say he has a background. Is that a background? That doesn't really mean that somebody, it's a career person, it's a career politician. Somebody may have a background based on the repute he has built over the years in his career. He may have a background based on his a kind of support has been given to the states in terms of advice, in terms of other areas that people might not really notice. But they want to may not know that people will notice it. They may not know that, they may think that they don't know. And then being a governor for 4 years also, it's enough for him to build political clout, to build followers, especially now they believe that he performed. Almost all the people I met from Edo State testify to the fact that he performed. All
right, let me quickly hold you there, Barrister Joe Okedi. We'll go on to Edo State, Benin City, the state capital, where we'll be speaking with our correspondent, Kunle Ojo. Hello, Kunle Ojo.
You should bring pictures of
The agent of the All Progressives Congress there actually kicking against a particular result from Ohio local government area, where the APC polled 10,458 and the PDP 13,445 votes. That is actually the local government of Pastor Osagie Ize-Iyamu.
Well, obviously, that may be the reason why he's worried. I mean, that really tells you that, I mean, when your own people reject you, it's a big deal in politics. And so he's trying to protect the integrity of his candidates in complaining. But what I understand is that there was an attempt by political actors to, to create a problem in that local government. And so about 2 wards or so, the voting couldn't really happen, because I even heard that about 2 people were killed in that area. And so when I saw the agent trying to talk about that local government, it's just for political reasons, political posturing. Because I mean, if you have lost in your own home, why should you expect other people out there to support you? So it's a testament to the fact that those people are not really interested in where you are from. They're interested in what you can bring to the table, the kind of service you can render, how much you can work for the people, irrespective of where you are from. So that's what I think about the complaint from Orion.
All right, let's take a look at the role Adams Oshiomhole, the former APC chairman, played in these particular elections. Many people are of the view that Oshiomhole actually made himself the major candidate for the elections, which didn't help Ize-Iyamu in their own view. He didn't allow Ize-Iyamu to be heard and seen. It was seen as him campaigning against the newly elected governor of the state. What do you share the sentiment, Barrister Nwokedi?
For me, Oshiomhole actually is the one that lost the election for Ize-Iyamu. In the first place, the mistake Oshiomhole also made was to even bring out Ize-Iyamu as candidate of All Progressive Congress. That was where the whole thing started. But from shrewd political calculation, Ize-Iyamu is not supposed to be fronted by if any other person in that state, or Oshiomhole, not Oshiomhole. In the sense that Oshiomhole has already demarcated Ize-Iyamu 4 years ago when he ran under the platform of VDP. He said all sorts of things against him. You know, in my place, they said that when you put up your step on the ground, if rain falls, the flood will carry it away. But when you speak a word, the rain doesn't carry it away. So once you speak a word, no matter the level of rain, it cannot take it away. But if you move on the road, rain can clear your footpaths. So these are spoken words. These are things he has said. And in most cases, he was swearing. He was calling on God. May God punish him if he was lying against.
And the videos were there.
They were all there against Ize-Iyamu. He was praising Obaseki, raising his hands and dancing all over the whole place. Said even if Obaseki would disappoint him, that he's the one that will take Edo to the promised land. These things you are talking to people, not animals. And they have had you. And then again, Oshiomhole had a baggage. Being that he had a very controversial reign as the chairman of All Progressive Congress, at the national chairman of All Progressive Congress. And why he lost out? Why he lost out in that exalted seat as the number one man in the party? He should have gone home to play the second fiddle, to play behind the scene. But when he was having that baggage as someone that was removed from such exalted position, he came back home and started championing cause of election for somebody. How do you think people will feel? We are from the same state. You had a problem with the governor. A very serious problem with the governor. At the end of the day, you are removed. That has shown that you have really started failing. That you're no longer popular, you're no longer strong, you're no longer influential, you can no longer decide. You know, when he is a party chairman, he can decide who might be given the tickets. Some people might be out to fight for him because at the level of primaries, he can determine who will be given the ticket to fly the flag of the party. But now you don't have these powers. And there was also a kind of gang up against you within your party at the national level. The people from the state are all aware of this. So the aura, that aura that moves a man, that causes a kind of that creates that influence that will make people to like toe you apart even when it's not comfortable for them. It's no longer there for Oshiomhole. He didn't play out. He has been reduced to ordinary man. And being ordinary man, he was now competing against a governor, a serving governor that people believe that has performed. We must always bear that in mind, that actually performed. If you're talking of a non-performing governor here, it would have been a different issue. From all the indications and people I spoke to from Edo State, they were in unison, consensually saying that Obaseki performed. Like my Leonard Colin here rightly said, he might not be perfect. But even the Bible, God just was admitted that poverty can never cease from the surface of the earth. What we are saying is that reduce it to the barest minimum, that will not be so choking and so kind of debilitating. So Oshiomhole played a role that in one of my people that actually mentored me in school, he told me, say, Joe, at a certain level in politics, let them not see you coming. Let them hear you and play behind the scene. It was a lesson that was coming up. He said, Joe, don't ever let anybody know you are in this election. Just completely withdraw because your name is already in the public domain. Once they know your name, they will attack you. And when they attack you, they'll destroy that candidate because they believe that you're becoming a godfather. Remember, you have held so many posts in this school. Just withdraw. To listen, I even told the person contesting who I'm fronting to go to the opponent and begin to castigate me, call me all sorts of evil names. So the opponent will admit him. And the guy rapidly went to the opponent and started calling me names. People calling me names as if he saw with me. So they will leave me alone. Whenever he goes here, I said, I give you the right to castigate me, call me all sorts of names, insult me before them, so that they will think that I'm not with you. So they know that you're on your own. And he did that, and it worked for him. It was on the day he won the election That they now took him around the school. They now say, so this guy is with this guy. That's not my point.
Right.
Because I know my name has become like, So this is the politics Oshomole will have played. After a while, Oshomole knew his name has become notorious in Edo State, even in Nigeria. One, he didn't do very, very well as a comrade. His family because I also have issues with I handle issues with labor people. They are not so comfortable with how he behaved when he became a governor, and they are not very, very comfortable at all the way he behaved as a party chairman. That he didn't represent them as comrades very, very well. And now he came down from there. The first thing he did was to go back to the States. Immediately he was dethroned to begin to fight to become godfather in the States again with power. So Eze Iyamu would have done better if Oshomole has been out of his campaign. But Oshomole thought that by being with him, because he was the one that he was his castigator-in-chief. Oshomole was Eze Iyamu's castigator-in-chief in 2014. So he thought by being involved, he would not be the remedy-in-chief. To come and remedy, let people hear it from him. But it has gone out. The words are like out already.
All right.
So he demarketed the guy. And again, when you are so notorious, when you are so popular, so notorious or whatever, I don't know how to put it, in an election and you are behind the candidates, other big wigs will become afraid of supporting that person because they know already you have a gaffer, you have somebody you have your allegiance to. So how do they now come in? So even in whatever, this is the man you'll be like receiving instructions and orders and everything from.
Have to
good. So they better go to a neutral person that can admit them, work with them. So I mean, so many factors played out for me. And again, I don't know. And his connection with the leader of the party too, that even came down there. I don't want to mention his name.
All right, let's talk about the leader of the party. We saw the video that went viral. It was on some news station. Do you think the backing, the manner in which Eze Iyamu was backed and Obaseki demarketed, do you think it in any way helped the PDP, Obaseki himself? Do you think it pushed him to or propelled him to victory? Like he won the sympathy of the people?
The thing is that the biggest mistake APC made in the election is to treat Obaseki the way they did. I think Obaseki was seriously underrated, and perhaps because Oshomole, being who he thought he was at the time, the emperor, the lion in the political space, he thought he could bulldoze everything. And somebody that was qualified 4 years ago was said not to be qualified anymore.
He borrowed from Lagos.
And then
he borrowed from Lagos. And
one thing in politics, one thing about Edo State is that Edo people are liberal people. We don't like oppressors. We don't like people who people who turn themselves into gods. And this election is actually a result directly against Oshomole. All of those the way he was carrying himself. Edo people don't like that. We like a free system. We like an equal system. A system where people are treated on the basis of what they can bring to the table, not on the basis of who they are allied to. And so, by pushing Obaseki out of the process, they actually made him, governor for the second time, because he became so popular that if you ask children on the street, what is 4 + 4, they'll tell you it's Togba. Togba was the common term, Benin word, meaning, it must complete, as in it must complete its second term. That the politicians came up with for Obaseki. A very, very symbolic and sweet word. You see that it became so popular. I went to Benin about 2-3 weeks ago when I lost my dad for the burial. We were, anytime I go to Benin, I always, patronize, women who do akara, bean cake. There's one particular one by Donson Junction, and we were there. Some of my friends were there, and there was a picture of Eze Iyamu opposite where she was selling akara, and she was telling us that look, that after when she finished selling akara, she's going to go and remove. Why would they come and put this man's picture there? He said, look at the one up, that Obaseki, that is going to win. And I was asking her, an elderly woman, over 60, 70. I was like, madam, why do you think so? She said, my son, since I have been following politics, since the days of Ubemudia, this is the first time I will be seeing a governor who believes in development. And that, that he, in fact, she wouldn't mind using our money to support Obaseki, I was shocked. In the end, a friend of mine who was with me, he was an APC person. He was saying, no, you don't buy as it was not complete. He said, look, please don't buy Akara from here. Go and look for
Imagine.
The ordinary people.
Up to that level.
It became so popular because they felt that he was being marginalized. And those people would not accept that. So it is, you see, that and then another thing is that, I've made this point, to people. I said, Obaseki is a new thing in politics. What I mean new thing, not that he's a new politician. New thing in terms that he's bringing something new. So I attended the Alauda conference in December in Edo State. I was proud to be there because I could see the vision. And he was showing it on screen, on everywhere. This is somebody that you wake up at midnight and he will bring out maps telling you what should be done in a particular area. It doesn't happen in this country. It doesn't happen. Show me anywhere, any governor who believes in development. So it was a big mistake for them to have treated him that way. I'm not saying that you cannot disagree. I'm not saying that you cannot even you must have given him the ticket. But you should allow him to fairly compete in the process. By pushing out the way you did, you gained thousands of votes for him. So the APC process, and of course, you look at the chairman, the APC chairman, for example, he has said they don't have a candidate in the election because they were not carried along. Somebody who, as at that time, Shomole had been suspended by his ward. And then yet they continued with their onslaught against Obaseki. So it was a big mistake for them, a big miscalculation. And it's actually because Shomole overstated his powers and not directed a performing governor who knows what to do in terms of, he knows the kind of buttons to press. He's not the type that will go and be fighting and making noise but he knows how to reach the people. And I'm really happy that he was able to reach the people because that was the mistake, that was the challenge I had. How can he reach the people? Because this is somebody that is not the ordinary politician who can just go on the streets and be eating akara, eating corn like somebody else.
What people? When did he build that?
Exactly. He's not that kind of person. He's not that kind of person. But he is the kind of person that has, he's got vision, he's got dreams, he's got ideas, and people are beginning to see that. The moment that the Akara woman told me that she was ready to use a little proceeds from selling Akara to support Obaseki, that was the day I said he must win this election.
All right, let's talk about godfathers. Let's talk about the people of Edo State. On social media, I've seen many slogans. Edo no be Lagos, and so many.
Maybe what I'm seeing here. Let me go back to Lagos.
What does this say to you about this issue of godfatherism in politics in Nigeria? What do you think the Edo people have said with their vote?
They've actually made a big statement to Nigerians and to our politicians and to our godfathers and also to Lagos, because there was always this reference to Lagos. Then the question is, why is it always Lagos? People believe that in Lagos one man calls the shots, and the Lagosians are not doing anything about it. They're like docile about it, so comfortable about it, and then they don't want to do something new. And it's becoming more and more entrenched. It's becoming like a kind of a religion. That anybody that dares to challenge it is either doubt it or seen as doing something very, very stupid or something very highly irresponsible. But that's not how democracy ought to be. Democracy is such a way that people will finish their tenure and then bring in their ideas and go. I know when you are given opportunity to serve the people, you are given opportunity to exhibit whatever you have. All the things you have acquired in terms of your knowledge, your philosophy, your worldview, your experience, you bring them to the table. Within that years that are allowed, given to you constitutionally to manifest those things. You do it and you go home and go and face other things. A situation where you are done with the years apportioned to you, you still want to be there. You plant another person there. You plant another person there again. Because why they always call, let me be very, very fair and very, very firm too. Why they always call Lagos? Because Oshomole is very, very close to Tinubu. Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu, with due respect to him, he's a position I also respect so much. He fought so much for democracy. He put his life on the line, and Nadeko and Azra Aten. But he has been in the system, and he's a very close friend of Oshomole. And it means that he's a very close friend of Oshomole. Even this Obaseki went to visit him in the course of this crisis as a party leader. He snubbed Obaseki. He snubbed him. He didn't give him any attention. because she was rather closer to Oshiomhole. And what played out in Edo State was exactly what played out in Lagos State. Because you're asking me why they always say, I don't know, be Lagos. So I'm responding to your question. So if they call me and say, Judy that asked me this question, I responded to because I mean, so now, the issue is that there's a semblance there of what transpired between our last governor here in Lagos, Ambode. That was a serving governor that everybody believed he was doing very, very well. He was having massive infrastructure, stadium, flyover, so many things going on all over the whole place. New, what they call it, bus stops and everything. So many things, I mean, changing the face of Lagos. And then suddenly something happened. And they say it's not going to go for second term. Before you know it, like play. Ambode was not even allowed to contest. He was frustrated and forced out of the contest. The same thing that was actually got played out in Edo State. Obaseki is also a serving governor, a young man believed to be doing very, very well, having a new face of Edo State. Like my friend, I'm not from there. I can't even say with every kind of assurance. But from his own information and his own assessment, I will rely on that. And I will use that. You know? So, suddenly again, another person, a godfather emerged and said he's not going to go for a second term. And next thing, he was not screened. So people are now thinking that Oshiomhole actually borrowed that from his friend Tinubu, who has put to be his close friend, even that made him chairman of APC, and then also they have been close. And then again also, Asiwaju Ahmed, Jagaban also went to Edo State in support of his friend Oshiomhole, and they made a statement there, also signifying that, look, I am part of this, and we are godfathers. Because he's a godfather here in Lagos, take it or like or leave it. He is. There's no missing words about it. You know, Oshiomhole being his close friend is also trying to replicate the same thing in those states. Now the people are beginning to like, no, we don't want this. Even if it might be okay with people of Lagos State, because every political system has its own kind of peculiarity. But what is applicable in Lagos might not be applicable in Kano, might not be applicable in Oyo, might not be applicable in Owerri, might not be applicable in other places. Because the life pattern, the culture, the tradition, because in some places, they have this respect for elders. Like, for instance, for Southwest, everybody, you must respect your elder. You must take whatever your elder says as something that must be at all this and that. But it's other parts of Nigeria, it's not like that. In some places, they don't have such respect. They can question elders. They can say they are not doing it. You know, there are in some part of Nigeria, they even tell they don't even care about who is elder or who is younger. But that's their own culture, and they've been living with it over the years. So that's why this issue of Edo will be Lagos. They are simply saying that, look, what Lagosians condoned, what Lagosians took as being normal, what Lagosians took as being okay, what the Lagosians are comfortable with and they are flowing with, cannot apply in Edo State.
Right.
That we don't want that.
Okay. That
Oshiomhole cannot become Asiwaju here by repeating what was done to Ambode as a performing governor that was denied his second tenure. The Oshiomhole is coming to Edo State now to deny a performing governor again his second tenure and bring in a new person. That we Edo State people, we are going to stop it. I'm good to their own credit, and they stopped it. So that's what actually happened today to prove that they don't know the Lagos true.
All right, Barrister Nwokedi, thank you very much for that. Now, now that Obaseki has defeated Ize-Iyamu, we know there's been a long-drawn power tussle in Edo State before this election. Do you think the battle has been won completely and Obaseki will be able to face the business of government squarely? Do you see that?
Well, in politics, you know, politicians never say never. You know, they continue to fight. They continue to look for a way to get something. Even our lawyers will go and tell them. So market their work. I did not expect the opposition to go to sleep. You know, there are so many issues that were pending before the election. All of these issues will continue. Oshiomhole cannot, you know, go back to Obaseki, for example, because he's been seriously affected by the outcome of this election. Ize-Iyamu, you know, and if you look at it before the election, what I can tell you is that the political landlords, in quote, in Edo State were all in one camp. They teamed up with Ize-Iyamu in this election, and you can see that even those who were working for Obaseki towards the end of the election, they were all decamping. And they were all. I mean, obviously they were part of. They came up through this political estates, in quotes, So you don't expect them to just go back and say everything is well. They will continue to fight. There are issues in the House of Assembly, outstanding issues of people who refuse to present themselves for inauguration, and those issues are in court as we speak. So those issues will continue. There are issues of qualification, from both sides, and some people have gone to court. All of those issues will continue. But what I can say, knowing Obaseki, is that all of this will not stop him from, continuing with the plans that he has. So this is one of the reasons why you need somebody who has plans, who has come up with maps, who has come up with ideas about how he wants to go. Irrespective of the distractions and all of the political fight, the plan is there. Every day he wakes up, he sees it. So I do not. Yes, the politicians will continue to fight, but if he has been able to water down the system, in the last 4 years, if you see the kind of battle that he has had to confront, it's not everything you see on the news, on social media. A whole lot of issues that you will see. The House of Assembly election issue, for example, I can tell you for free that the plan was to impeach him immediately after inauguration. That was the plan, and Obaseki was lucky. They did their calculations well, and then play the game well, and so as to get the upper hand at the House of Assembly. And the other side, they forgot that the law was on the side, because if the governor has issued the proclamation, you have to act on it. Nobody else can issue it, right? They didn't look at that aspect. They wanted a situation where they can inaugurate the house, get their own people, and immediately impeach the governor. That was part of the plan. That didn't work. There are so many stones that have been thrown at this governor, and somehow I can tell you, I don't like spirituality things. This may just be a divine moment for Edo State, because for somebody who was not in politics until Shomole emerged, for somebody who has been a technocrat, somebody who even doesn't like to be to be meeting with the people that actually make politics work. I mean, those they call them lions and tigers or whatever in those states. You can imagine that if he has been able to weather that storm, I don't see why he shouldn't be able to continue to deliver on his promises. He should stay on track. He should stick with the people. The people have endorsed him now, quite clearly. Last time there were complaints about the process may not have been transparent or whatever. But this time around, I don't see anybody complain about this process. Anybody who complains about this process will just be, because the people have spoken quite clearly, and this is what he needs right now to boost to boost him in an attempt to, because if you want to make change, the system is so bad, the political system is so bad that if you want to, cause any change, you're going to face opposition. Even sometimes the people you think you are trying to work for, they can oppose you, but for you to see them seeing your vision, I think it's not just a wake-up call for him. It's something I'm sure right today he may not be able to sleep, because he will be very happy that the people have endorsed him for another 4 years, and he should stick to that, irrespective of any political storm. Right. He should stick with it and work for the people.
All right, Barrister Nwokedi, in your own view, do you think it is uhuru yet for Obaseki? I'm seeing a comment on social media, and then someone did say on Twitter that well, the battle is not over. It will simply change venue, that is to the House of Assembly.
And let me just be very, very fair and honest. A governor, it's always difficult for any House of Assembly members to upstage, and can be a kind of problem to a state governor. This office of the governor is so big, so powerful, so influential, so kind of, I don't know how to quantify or qualify it, to the level of having issue with member of House of Assembly. If quietly buy them over. Look at what happened in Imo State. Is PDP not up to 25th of G26 or whatever within Hedioha, when Hedioha was there as a governor? They meant Odemwa was declared by the Supreme Court as Supreme Governor. That was a Supreme Court Governor. Because I say he's going after anybody that calls him Supreme Court Governor. But it was Supreme Court that made him that declared him a governor. So you can as well call him Supreme Court Governor. So when he was declared the governor by the Supreme Court, the dynamics changed. And before you know, the House of Assembly of Imo State, that we are predominantly PDP members, suddenly changed. Some of them decamped and moved to where the mail is coming from, where the butter is. So most Nigerian politicians are not that firm. They are not that kind of resolute that when they decide on a thing, they will stand there. Even if even if they are going hungry, they will remain there. They don't have that kind of reputation. They don't have that kind of firm attitude when it comes to politics. They see politics as being smart, and being smart that just go to where something will flow from. And now they know that Oshiomhole that follow, initially that be an issue. They look up the Oshiomhole. Like I told, there's a point I made here, may not really pick it as something very, very serious. But it's a very serious issue in politics. Oshiomhole was the national chairman. A national chairman has to do with ticket to contest elections. So the people value that so much. Well, for the fact that Oshiomhole may determine who they will be giving the ticket or the party to fly any to contest any office. Even those members of the House of Assembly might be loyal to him against the governor, because they know that this is man that will renew our man. They will give us the tickets.
No, we'll be having second thought.
Yes, and once we have the tickets, we can always find a way to go back. But now Oshiomhole doesn't have that power again to give them the tickets in APC, and APC is no longer the ruling party in the states. And mind you, it is almost tantamount to swimming against the tide when you're contesting House of Assembly election against the ruling party in the states. House of Reps, if you're strong enough, you can do that without the governor and go. But House of Assembly, most of the states, most of the House of Assembly members are the same party with the that of the governor. Why the states was that different was because of Oshiomhole's influence. Now Obaseki has actually won election and is back fully on ground. Can I tell you that he will penetrate that House of Assembly hierarchy, and many of them will decamp. Some of them will decamp, some of them will not decamp, will start singing his tune. I know one that happened in my state that everybody thought that the governor is in trouble. The governor just locked down that place within 1 month. And when they reconvened, they started singing a different tune. He just dashed them some Prado Jeep and I think 10 million. And that was actually what they did. Just a Prado Jeep, change their vehicles, I give them Jeep each, and I give them like 20 million ahead of just envelope. Because for them, the idea, because if you know the quality of people going to the House of Assembly, I'm so sorry to say this. If you know the quality of people going to the House of Assembly, my dear, you'll cry for this country. When the election came up in my state, and I happened to look at the quality, some of them I knew, I was like, what are they going there to do? And one lady was telling me, she's from Ekiti, she said, the cousin that even went to House of Assembly, that up to today, she's still wondering what that man went there to do. And what that man, why he came, why he has finished, and she's wondering why he went there. So one godfather said he should go. So most of them don't even know anything. Some don't even have anything to, they're just going there to like get their own share of national cake, water their own ground, get their own meal ticket. So they always go to where money will come from. That's why whenever I see any godfather will bring out like 500 million to tell them to impeach the governor, they collect the money and commence impeachment. By the time the governor will bring their counter money, the whole exercise will stop. So they are not the kind of people that you take so seriously. So I'm telling you that if Oshiomhole again is no longer a strong man, where is he going to get his strength to fight Obaseki again? At the national level, he has lost out. At the state level, he has lost out. So who is going to follow him again? Is it? No. Tell me politically, if you're a politician now, you want to advance your career in politics in the Edo State, are you going to follow instructions take instructions from Oshiomhole any longer? You are not going to do that, except if you are his dying heart. It's only his dying heart that will remain with him. But trust Nigerian politicians. Well, this governor of Bayelsa State that lost in Supreme Court, he said that prior to the day of that election, he had a meeting, about 60 persons came. They programmed another meeting like tomorrow before inauguration. He was removed a day before his inauguration. Then the committee for the inauguration, the moment they announced that Supreme Court is no longer the chairman, only 3 persons came. Out of 160 people that came the other day, only 3 persons came there. Others left and started singing a different tune and then joined the Dixon and the So that's to show you the kind of people we have in politics. So I don't think Obaseki will have any issue. All he needs to do is he should be magnanimous in victory. Yes, he has to be very, very magnanimous in victory, because it's not good to always prolong political fights.
Right, yes.
I don't actually advise that, because on your own it will also stretch you. It will also, the brain is like a system. When you overload the system, your computer or whatever, it will start having issues. So when you overload the brain with so many relevant things, it might not program very, very well. So but when you then minimize the level of hostility, level of antagonism, level of unnecessary fights, make amends. Like I said, they're all from the same states. I always tell people that. We are people from the same place. You don't need to put, even if you are from the same country, the major idea, the major drive will be like how to better the lives of your people, live within the tenor you want to live in your life and go. Now that somebody has been given that mandate, he should be magnanimous in victory. Reach out to these people, not a winner takes all. Not that battle continues. Even though Oshiomhole, no matter whatsoever, You should also approach Oshiomhole. I know what happened in Bayelsa. Even when this delay won election, Jonathan did not support him. When he won the Supreme Court, he went to Jonathan and knelt down and presented the certificate to him and begged him, and they paid the homage to Jonathan. Even as much as he knew that Jonathan and Dixon fell apart during his election, Jonathan supported the other it was that man, is it the ugly man or whatever, supported that man. But when Delhi won, he took his, when he was given that certificate by the INEC, he went to Jonathan's house and knelt down before Jonathan and thanked him, according to their political leader. Notwithstanding the fact that he knew Jonathan did not support him, but Jonathan calmed down and was like, no, but everybody wants respect. If Delhi did not do that, by today Jonathan will still be fighting him. Yeah. But he did that. Just like, please, this is an end. You are Godfather, you are my God, please declare my certificates. I need your blessing. So Jonathan blessed him and he left. Now, this is what Obaseki should do. Notwithstanding the fact he fell out with Oshiomhole, he should still go back to Oshiomhole. Oshiomhole brought him in. He never hated him. I always tell my friends, when you are falling out with your friend, always remember how you people met and what brought you together. No matter the level of issues that might happen along the line, remember your first encounter and how that person helped you.
All right.
So Obaseki should also know that this fight has ended. Oshiomhole is a figure in Edo State. You don't destroy your figure internally. In my place in Igbo land, they said that you don't kill a great man in a local battle. Because something great might happen tomorrow outside, you might still need him. Oshiomhole is a national figure in Edo State. He has headed a political party at the national level. So they cannot, in as much as he lost the election, does not mean that they will not go and kill him finally.
Okay.
They should still package him and they still president for
another
fight.
Thank you, Barrister Nwokedi. Barrister Elvis, what do you share his sentiment, make peace, be magnanimous in victory and...
Yes, I mean, that's I agree to a very large extent that it's important. Conciliation is important. Reaching out is important in politics. You can't just say because you have gone, you want to take it all. You can still reach out. In politics, you can never have too many people, on your side. So you can always reach out. There's really nothing wrong with reaching out. But in doing so, you also have to be careful because politicians are like snakes. They can also be laying landmines for you. They can tell you, oh, we are fine now, and then before you know it, they will shock you with something, something very, 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 very serious. So it's important that you should reach out, but it's difficult sometimes to reach out to people whose interests are so different from yours. Because the issue in those states, if we want to be real to ourselves, is that there are people who wants to decide how the pulse, how the meat, how the food is cooked, how the meat is shared. And the governor is saying, look, if you want me to be governor, I should be governor. I'm sure you saw it, where he said, if I'm governor, I should be governor. If I cannot be governor, I can't just be a figurehead governor. An educated person like him, a smart person like him, if you want to be a figurehead governor. So the mere fact that you want to reach out doesn't mean you are going to accommodate, things like that.
No.
Because one of the issues in this election for market women, in Edo State, it was a common sight that, what we call Agberu here, they were the ones determining what was happening in Edo State. In the market, they give you tickets, they beat up women, they do all of that. And the bulk of these funds never get to the state. And the governor came and said, look, we can't continue like this. In the first place, the people are suffering. These people are actually barely making out a living. And yet, you want to continue to frustrate their lives with, taxes that are not even, that hasn't even come to Edo State. So, I stop it. That was the first battle line. And then all of the, he calls them these infantry division. I mean, that's the truth. He doesn't hide it. He calls them the infantry division. They were the ones doing all of that, and that was the beginning, because he needed to continue to oil that wheel, because those people are the ones that win elections for politicians. And so if they don't get anything, it will be difficult for them to continue to support you. It will be difficult to get the kind of support you are getting. So that was the first thing that was. I mean, if you follow development in those states, there was one. I don't want to call names, that was arrested immediately after a few weeks or a few months after the election, in 2016. And that, I even heard that, there were gunshots in Government House. Agberu's wanting to decide who will be commissioners, who will be, a decent person would not have that kind of government. I was in those states for a without a conference, and I entered the government house and the guest house. I was shocked that I didn't see any politician there. The place was empty. And I was asking somebody, I said, look, what is happening? He said, look, this is how this man runs his politics. You cannot turn government house to your house and people were eating on government. They just go and stay there, bring girlfriends, bring all sort of people, and they're eating on government. And the man, I mean, somebody who understands finance, who understands the implication
capital markets,
on the people, he said, look, you can't run government like this. So at the end of the day, these are the issues. And so how do you marry this? So it's you know, whilst I will agree that you should continue to reach out, we cannot compromise on some fundamentals, because the reason why people are seeing flashes of governance from him now is because of the blockade of the leakage in the system, which is why he is able to get funds together to do some massive major investments. If you see what's happening with education at the local level in the state, it's a miracle. And so where will you get the funds from if you need to continue to pay the infantry division, like they call them in those states? So these are some of the issues. So we have to reach out. Both sides will have to shift grounds. But I can tell you for free that a lot of politicians will come back to try to rejoin the group with the governor, because that's their stock in trade. They can't survive. These people are, many of them are what do you call it? Professional career politicians. So their daily bread comes from there. So the moment they don't have access to the Jews, they will try to come back, or they will try fighting like they have been doing. So, all
right, what about the members of the House of Assembly who are yet to present themselves? At this point, what do you advise them?
Well, on that issue, you see, that is a very delicate one.
Very
delicate in the sense that, legally speaking, if you look at the Constitution, if you don't come to work, let me use that word for the sake of people, if you don't come to work for a certain number of days, you're no longer a member of the House. Your seat can be declared vacant. And that has been done. And I understand that they have gone to court. So it is a difficult thing. Well, I mean, in politics you can always reach a political solution. You can always, but I mean, in reaching a political solution, you also have to be scared, because you know that these people can, they can quietly say, okay, let us go ahead, everything will be fine, and then tomorrow they start giving you problems. But right now, legally speaking, their seats have declared vacant. Whether rightly or wrongly, you have to go to court to change that. So the House issue is a very delicate issue, and of course, I'm not happy with the fact that there are people who have been elected by their constituencies, by their villages, by their local governments, and they are unable to represent them. That's an issue on both sides, because government is a continuum. I can't, government must ensure that there's government continues. So if that is not happening, that is the problem. But at the same time, legally speaking, their seats have been declared vacant, and they are in court. So I don't know what kind of political arrangement that can be reached to solve that problem.
All right.
I would think that perhaps legally, since their seats have declared vacant and there's no contrary decision from the court, perhaps we should call for a fresh election for those, so that the people, local governments, that they are representing, can enjoy the dividends of democracy. Because the way and manner, you see, the problem the issue right now is that at the local level, people are not feeling the impact of government, because these are people ordinarily that should be able to attract the governor or the government to their people. But right now they are not able to do so, because for one reason or the other, they've backed out of the process. So we have to find a solution to that, so that the system, the constitutionalism can return to the House of Assembly.
All right, Barrister Nwokedi, your take on that?
Yeah, like he said, for the fact that it's subject of litigation in court, I think the most appropriate thing to do is to wait for the pronouncements from the courts. Because if they have gone to court, basically, court might actually decide that the status quo ante bellum be maintained. And the status quo should be maintained. That means they'll still be there, in quotes, but then they may not perform some functions. Or if they have gotten state of execution proper, they'll still be there performing their functions while they argue their matter in court. But if the declaration of vacancy has actually come before they have gone to court, that means they might not come back. Even if there's a status quo, the status quo that will be maintained will be that declaration, but they are no longer a member. So they can no longer sit until when the contrary might have been declared by the court. So if they have gone to court after that statement has been made, status quo will be like that statement be maintained. If it is issued from appropriate quarters or authority that has the powers to issue same. And if that has been done, then they should go to court, wait for what the court will say, stay outside the scene, then until when court has returned them, they will come back. If court has returned them after their tenure has expired, I don't see how they will come back. Because I don't think that court will return, because House of Assembly member issue is not the same thing with that of the governor. If you are returned after your tenure has expired, I don't know where you are going to again. Because if another election has been conducted and those 6 are filled up, you can't tell the person there to go that you are the House of Assembly member. If you have a matter in court, whenever you are returned, you are completing that remaining time. You can't say they will return you to 4 years. Then when others when they're inaugurating a new house, you'll be the old member that will come. No. That's a provision it's not made for. There's no provision like that in our laws for members of representative capacity. They don't have it. The governor may be returned, his tenure might still be running, but that's not for them. So for me, it was a very, very unwise decision they've taken by towing that part. You know, in democracy and in leadership, you have to be very, very wise. You don't overstretch issues. And you know that also, some of them are oblivious of what the law says. They mostly play their games politically, forgetting that there might be a provision in the Constitution that might have said something to the contrary. So in as much as you want to be politically wise in your actions, you want to show your godfather that you are there, that you are loyal, that you are always there for him. Also be mindful of the fact that the law might not be on your side. And like my colleague said, they are representing the people. And then the people cannot be suffering because of their attitude, because of something they ought to do, they know they're supposed to do, they did not do. Because right now, those constituencies they represent cannot boast of somebody being their voice, somebody presenting their issues, somebody tabling their issues before the House, and somebody also representing them, and somebody also attracting development to their constituencies. These things are the primary objective, of electing somebody into the House of Assembly, so you can attract government back to your constituency and also present issues on behalf of the people. Speak on behalf of your people. That's why in most cases say, on behalf of my people, I've called my constituency, and they said I should go. In most cases, they didn't call anybody. But for it to look as if they're representing the people, they must start their statements with that. So, but I believe this might present a new era in politics in Edo State. So all parties should sheath their sword. When I mean that they will reach out, I don't mean that they should go and compromise the system. I've been an advocate, a very unrepentant advocate of not sharing people's funds. People should go and make money from what they do. Nobody should make money from government. Government is supposed to be a place that takes care of everybody, exactly, and not select few, and not people taking what belongs to other people at their own detriment and then living a lavish lifestyle, ostentatious lifestyle at the detriment of other people's own success. It's not done. For goodness sake, so many people, I remember people like Awolowo that was a premier of Eastern region. If he had actually selected the few people he had then for the benefit of governance, so many people that actually emerged professors today through his education policy of free education then will not be there. Exactly. And unfortunately, these are the people at the helm of affairs now, not allowing people to even benefit the same things they are open to. I remember when I was in school, when I was in university, my godfather called, asked me about my hostel. I mentioned my hostel then, University of Nigeria then. He said, let's give us meal tickets. I said, what do you call meal tickets? He said, this meal ticket we always talk about. They used to give students meal tickets. And with that meal ticket, he asked me about the cafeterias, the ones they had then. I mentioned them. I said, they don't function again. He said, no. Those places have been converted to something else. He said, these are the places that will go 3 times in a day to go and eat as a student, free of charge. He now asked me where we live in the house. I said, we are 6 in one room. He said, no, that house is supposed to have only 2 persons. That's why you have wardrobe this side and wardrobe that side. Unfortunately, we are 6 there. And then from there, I think they're 8 now in that one room. These are the things that the leaders that actually had the consciousness of development put in place. But now we don't have them because we now focus on select few. Somebody was telling me about one project that was executed in Nigeria by CSEC, Chinese company, to the tune of about $2.something billion. And when they got to their own publication in China, that thing was captured at $900 and something million. Nigerians embezzle $1.1 billion. So in their own paper, original paper in China about that contract in Nigeria has $900 and something million. But in Nigeria, it was $2.3 billion. So now imagine what the remaining $1.3 billion could do in this country. And that project is still ongoing. So, so please, the people should allow the governor to work. Everybody should go and find something doing. When we allow the system to work the way it ought to do, everybody will eventually benefit.
Of course.
Everybody will eventually benefit. Both those that are civil servants will have your pensions secured. By the time you are done with your years of service in a company or in a government or parastatal, you have your pensions paid. Those in a private engagement, when you do a job, you see your money. And then not only that, you see whatever you have, that is, you are sure of amenities. I know when there was time they cut a light in my office, I was buying fuel every day, 1,001, 1,002, 1,002 every day. In a month, how much did I spend in buying fuel? But this is something I can only use a prepaid meter of about 7,000 naira for 1 month to do. Now, I've spent close to like almost 20-something thousand ahead of that. Put that together within 1 year. And you know how much they've taken away from me, from that excess funds.
All right,
and the sense is applicable everywhere. That's why you see some young men, after years of hard work, they will have nothing to show for it.
All right,
because the system is so lopsided that everything you have worked for will end up being taken away from the system. Because your government ought to come in to provide amenities that will support you. You don't have them there.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Barrister Elvis, next election will be that of Ondo State, where the people will also go to decide who will become their governor in the next 4 years. We have learnt a lot of lessons. What area do you think the security agencies can improve on, as well as the electoral umpire, come the Ondo governorship election?
I think the most important thing is what we have talked about, earlier, which is the issue of vote buying. People who are visibly distributing funds at polling units, the security agencies should be able to arrest them. ANEC should be able to put up a system that identifies these people, that records these activities, and steps should be taken after elections against them. So we hope that for Ondo election, ANEC will begin to take that duty very seriously.